Welcome to Deep Dive.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely.
Awesome. Today, we're venturing into the world of Roberto Morales.
Oh, I'm excited for this one. His work is incredible.
Right. Guatemalan-born, filmmaker, designer, the whole package, and his storytelling.
Captivating.
Seriously, we're focusing on his adaptation of the Popol Vuh, the sacred text of the Quiché Maya.
Such a rich text.
Yeah, and he turns it into a short film.
And a powerful one at that.
Okay, for those who might need a little refresher, what exactly is the Popol Vuh?
Well, think of it as the foundation of Quiché Mayan beliefs.
Yeah.
Myths, legends, historical accounts, all woven together.
It sounds epic.
Yeah, the Popol Vuh, which translates to Book of the People, it's basically like the Mayan Bible, a sacred text for the Quiché Maya people of Guatemala. And it blends their myths, history, their whole worldview.
So it's like their origin story, gods, heroes, the whole shebang.
Exactly. And what makes this even more interesting is Roberto Morales himself. He's Guatemalan-born, but now he's a designer and filmmaker at Microsoft, so he's bringing this unique perspective.
So he's got the cultural connection, but also this modern eye. Does that come through in the film?
Oh, absolutely. Morales' style is so fresh and vibrant. It's like he took these ancient stories and filtered them through a graphic novel, animated, full of energy.
Now, I've heard a bit about the Popol Vuh, but before we get into the film itself, can you give us, the SparkNotes version? What's the gist? Why is it so important to the Maya?
Okay, so think of it as their version of Genesis. It explains how the world was created, the trials and triumphs of their heroes, their relationship with the gods. It's their whole cosmology in one epic narrative. What's incredible is that it even survived.
Right, because colonization tried to wipe out so much of Mayan culture.
Yeah.
So how did this text make it through?
A lot of it was through oral tradition, passed down through generations. But then in the 1700s, a Dominican friar, Francisco Ximenes, actually transcribed it, and that's how it was preserved for us today.
Wow, talk about a lucky break for history. But okay, back to the film. I heard Morales draws inspiration from Dan Harmon's Story Circle. And I'm a big Rick and Morty fan, so I know Harmon's work can be pretty wild. How does that translate to a Mayan myth?
That's what's so brilliant about it. Morales uses the story circle structure, but he focuses on the human element of the story, the relatable struggles, the triumphs. But then he weaves in those unexpected turns that Harmon's known for, and he even incorporates humor, which you don't always see in these ancient texts.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. I need to see this film. But for our deep dive today, let's focus on some of the key moments that Morales chose to highlight. Where does his adaptation take us?
Well, he jumps right into the heart of Mayan culture, and you can't talk about that without mentioning the ball game Poc de Poc. It wasn't just a sport, it was a ritual tied to the cosmos with life or death stakes.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Weren't there sacrifices involved?
Definitely. The games were like symbolic battles between light and darkness. And yes, sometimes ritual sacrifices were a part of it. Morales doesn't shy away from that. He shows how deeply ingrained it was in their culture.
Intet. So where do the hero twins, Hunahpu and Xbalanque, fit into all of this? I always got to make sure I'm pronouncing these names right. So Hunahpu is Hunahpu, and Xbalanque is Xbalanque, right?
You got it. Perfect pronunciation. They're absolutely central to the Popol Vuh. And Morales' film opens with them already in the underworld. Xibalba, pronounced Xibalba, which is a very fitting name because it means place of fear.
Okay, starting in the underworld. That's a bold move.
Yeah.
What are they doing down there?
So their father and uncle were defeated and sacrificed in a ball game against the lords of Xibalba. And the twins are there for revenge, but it's more than just family honor. They're fighting to restore balance to the world.
Wow, talk about pressure. So what kind of challenges do they face in this underworld?
Well, immediately they have to navigate this pitch black chamber, just total darkness. And to make matters worse, the lords of Xibalba start shooting arrows at them from all directions.
Are you kidding? That's insane. How do they even survive that?
And here's where Morales starts to show off his visual style. So Hunahpu, who is the hunter, pulls out this magical jade stone. It starts glowing and releases all these fireflies that illuminate the chamber, and it creates this beautiful, eerie light that reveals all these deadly traps, spikes, lava pits, you name it.
That's a pretty cool visual.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got light, but they're still surrounded by traps. What happens next?
Morales doesn't let up. They escape the chamber, only to find themselves facing a river of blood and fire. And I'm not talking metaphorically here. It's literally depicted as flowing lava. To cross it, they have to leap across these shifting rocks that appear just in time, all while dodging bats and a whirlpool.
That's what I call cinematic Morales, is pulling out all the stops to bring this myth to life. He's not done yet, though, right?
Oh, not even close. And remember how I mentioned the humor? Well, after the river, they end up in the House of Jaguars, which, not a great place to be. But instead of this straight-up horror scene, he portrays the Jaguars as these almost comical figures, clumsily trying to catch the twins.
Okay, now I really have to see this. He's blending action, mystery, and humor. It sounds like a wild ride.
Oh, it definitely is. But before we get to the final showdown, Morales takes us back to the beginning, to the Mayan creation myth as told in the Popol Vuh.
Oh, right. I almost forgot about that. Didn't they believe humans were made from corn?
They did. And Morales portrays this in a surprisingly touching way. We see the gods, Heart of Sky and Heart of Earth, and they're going through all these hilarious trial and error attempts to create humans. First, they try mud, which just melts.
Mud people.
Mud people.
Can you imagine?
It's like, what were they thinking?
It's like a divine pottery class.
Right.
Gone wrong.
Total fail.
These mud people?
Yeah.
They can't stand. They can't talk.
Nope.
And they basically melt in the rain.
No.
Not exactly the masterpiece.
Not cool.
The gods we're hoping for, I can imagine.
Mud people would have a rough time in Seattle. You think?
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So attempt number 2.
Take 2.
Then they try wood, which ends up soulless and clunky. It's like a divine comedy routine.
And after all the failed attempts, they finally hit on corn.
Exactly. And it's not just a simple recipe. Morales uses these stunning visuals, showing the kernels being ground, mixed with rainwater, and shaped with such care. You really get a sense of how sacred corn was to the Maya. It's the essence of life itself, a gift from the gods.
So we've got the creation story, the perilous journey through the underworld. It's all building up to this final confrontation, right?
It is, and believe me, Morales does not disappoint. The ball game against the Lords of Xibalba is a visual feast, full of mind-bending twists and turns.
Okay, spill it. What kind of crazy stuff does he throw at the twins this time?
All right, picture this. The ball court itself is constantly shifting and changing. One minute it's solid ground, the next it's crumbling beneath their feet. Lava's bubbling up, rabbits are darting across the field to distract them. Pure chaos.
Wow, sounds like he took all the visual elements and cranked them up to 11. What about the ball itself? Is it still that fiery orb?
It gets way more interesting. The ball actually transforms. Sometimes it's fire, other times it's ice, even sharp diamonds. The lords are pulling out all the stops to try and cheat and defeat the twins.
Epic. Talk about high stakes. So how do Hunahpu and Xbalanque manage to hold their own against all that?
Well, first off, they're incredibly skilled players. They move with this amazing synchronization, dodging obstacles, leaping over hazards, never losing sight of the ball. But it's more than just athleticism. They use their wits and their courage. They turn each trap into an advantage, constantly outsmarting their opponents.
Okay, I gotta know, how does it all end? Do they win? Do they avenge their family?
It's a nail-biter, I won't lie. They're facing impossible odds, but they never give up. And then, in this truly breathtaking moment, Hunahpu receives the final ball, and it's made of corn, signifying the power of life and creation. He strikes it with all his might
And don't leave me hanging.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground already, and I don't want to spoil the ending. When we come back, we'll dive into the climax of the ball game and explore the incredible transformation that awaits the twins. You won't want to miss this.
So, last time we left off with Hunahpu about to take that final shot in this crazy ball game against the Lords of Xibalba. What happened?
Well, imagine the ball made of corn. It's soaring through the air. But remember, the Lords, they're masters of illusion, trickery. And just as Hunahpu is about to score, the hoop starts to shift. It disappears.
No way. They're changing the rules in the middle of the game? That's messed up.
Yeah, welcome to the underworld. Anything goes.
Yep.
But Hunahpu and Xbalanque, they've faced death. They've faced danger. They're not going to back down now.
So what do? Do they try and adjust the shot?
This is where their connection really comes into play. Without even speaking, Xbalanque knows what to do. He dives in, intercepts the ball just as the hoop vanishes, and he sends it spiraling back towards where the hoop should be.
So he's basically aiming at nothing. That's risky.
It is a gamble, but Morales has been showing us throughout the film the twins' connection to nature, to the cosmos. Xbalanque trusts his instincts, his connection, and it pays off.
I'm on the edge of my seat here. Does he make it?
Right as the ball is about to fall short, the hoop reappears. Right where Xbalanque aimed, boom, the ball goes right through. The silence after is deafening.
They did. They beat the Lords of Xibalba at their own game. I bet the Lords are not happy.
Oh, Morales shows us their faces, close up, and the look is priceless, a mix of shock and rage and disbelief. They underestimated these twins, and now everything's changed.
It's such a satisfying victory, you know? But it's more than just winning a game, right? What does it all mean in the Popol Vuh?
It's a turning point, a huge shift. Morales makes sure we feel that. Because remember, the lords represent chaos, darkness. The twins, they represent light, order, life. This victory, it's a restoration of balance to the world.
Puts things into perspective. What happens to Hunahpu and Xbalanque after they win? Do they just walk out heroes of the day?
This is where Morales takes us by surprise. Instead of showing a triumphant return, he takes us in a different direction. The twins. They walk to the center of the court, and then, as the camera looks up, we see this portal of flames opening above them.
Whoa, flames. What's happening? This is exactly how the story usually goes, is it?
It's not. But that's what makes this adaptation so fascinating. He sticks to the myth's core, but he's not afraid to get creative with it. He's using these visuals to say something deeper.
Okay, so do they walk into the fire?
They do, but it's not a defeat, not a punishment. Morales shows them merging with the flames. Their bodies are radiant. It's like they're transcending, becoming something more.
Not a tragic ending, then.
Not at all. As they merge, the scene shifts to the sky. The camera zooms out, and we see the sun and the moon rising, one after the other. The twins have become celestial bodies, their light bringing warmth and balance to the world.
I did not see that coming.
Oh.
It's beautiful, so poetic. Like, they achieve something even greater than just winning.
Yeah. And what's amazing is how Morales ties this back to the creation myth. Remember how corn was seen as life itself, a gift from the gods? Well, the twins, born from corn, they become the sun and moon, nourishing the world with their light. It completes the cycle.
So it's like everything comes full circle, the beginning and the end.
Exactly. And what I love is that Morales leaves the ending open-ended. We see the sun and moon, but then you hear this faint sound. It's the bouncing of a ball echoing on and on.
Okay. Why?
It's like a little reminder, of their journey, their sacrifice, and the power of the game. It's like Morales is saying, even though twins are gone, their story, their legacy, it continues.
Wow, I'm speechless. Morales took this ancient myth and made it into something truly unique and powerful.
He did. He captured the essence of the Popol Vuh, the epic battles, the connection to nature. But he also brought in his own vision, his modern style, this incredible visual way of telling this story that feels both ancient and new at the same time.
It's like he's bridging cultures and generations, using film to make this ancient story come alive.
And that's what makes this deep dive so special. It reminds us that even though these stories are old, they still have something to teach us. They speak to courage, to sacrifice, the search for meaning, and the interconnectedness of everything.
This has been an incredible journey, and I feel like I've only scratched the surface of the Popol Vuh and Mayan culture. It's amazing how Morales uses this film to almost build a bridge between cultures, taking these ancient Mayan stories and making them something we can connect with today.
Yeah, it's true. Without this film, a lot of people might never even hear of the Popol Vuh. It could have stayed hidden away. But Morales brings it to life. He uses film, which everyone understands,
And he does it with so much respect. He's not trying to make it simpler or more dramatic than it is. He keeps the heart of the myth, but also makes it relevant to us now.
It is. And that's what makes this deep dive so cool. It's not just facts. It's about seeing the world in a different way, understanding our place in everything.
It makes you want to learn more, not just about Mayan culture, but all the stories that connect us as humans.
Right. These myths, they're not just from the past. They're still alive. They still have things to teach us about being human.
So, as we wrap up our look at Roberto Morales' Popol Vuh, what's the one thing you hope people take away from this?
I hope they realize that even in this busy, tech-filled world, there's still space for wonder, for myths, for stories that remind us there's something bigger out there.
That's a great way to put it. And on that note, we'll leave our listeners with that thought. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Mayan culture and storytelling. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those questions coming. See you next time.